Okay, so I guess it's recording. Is this audible? I am just pretty confused right now.
Yes, Sudhanva, it's audible.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, guys. So yeah, that being said, hey guys, welcome to this session. I see a lot less people over here. I guess they have exams. Like second sem people have exams. So like, which sem are you from? Like first sem, second sem, third sem, fourth sem, first year? Or are you an employee or something? Which college are you from, guys? Second sem. Okay, great. So hey Kishore, you have exams, dude? Mallikarjun says second sem. Okay. So do you have any sort of exams? Oh, okay. So this is sem end exam or something? Yeah, it's on Monday. Okay. So it's on Monday. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the reason why there might be some drop off. Okay, so that being said, thank you for joining in. So I'll start it like right away. So like if you have any sort of let's say exams or like some sort of complications, like you can just drop that message in the group so that we can like time it better. So rather than like we organizing workshops and clashing with your exam details, so like we can organize it better. So yeah. Okay, so that being said, hey guys. So if you are new to this session, welcome. This is AthrV Explore series where we help you to explore in a lot of different domains. So we have started off with UI UX. We have a lot more interesting things coming up. So we have app development, web development, no code. So yeah. So my name is Sudhanva Acharya, and I work as a product designer at AthrV. So what are we going to learn today? So today we are going to learn about a very, very interesting topic, design principles. We also learn about how real world applications and websites like Slack, Zoom, Swiggy uses design principles. You might have used, right? Like, do you know Slack? Do you know Slack? Do you use Swiggy?
Yes.
Yeah. So like here we are going to introduce you to design principles that these real world applications use, and basically the session is going to about visual design. So in the previous session you might have learned about like 5 or 6 step process like research, information architecture, wireframe, visual design, prototyping, and developer handoff. So we are going to pick one, that is visual design. Okay, and then we are going to go in depth in that in this session. So before starting off, make sure you have your notes ready. Make sure you have so that like we will have a FAQ section. It's not FAQ, like we'll have a Q&A section at the end. So and you can also share your learnings on internet. So if you tag us at at our socials at AthrV, so like we will be giving away our t-shirts. Okay, like this is a giveaway. So you can also share your learnings on the internet. The best post will win our exclusive OG AthrV t-shirt. So yeah. So let me start off with today's topic, that is approach and thinking. So what do you mean by approach and thinking, guys? Anyone? What do you infer from approach and thinking? Like what are we thinking like in terms of visual aspects? Like what do you actually look out for like in visuals? Anyone? Can anyone answer? Yeah, guys, like please keep your cams on. As Gautam said, it would make me more energetic too. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, like a quick recap before we get into this session. So we had seen that design is about solving problems. So as similar to mathematical problems, where you go step by step and, like you solve that problem. Design here is also about solving those kind of problems in a step by step manner. So what are those steps? So that steps comprises something called as a design process. So in the design process, we had like 6 steps. One is research, information architecture, wireframe, visual design, prototyping, and developer handoff. So we had seen that these process states how to approach a particular problem and to arrive at a given solution. So we had, we had taken an example of, like a nutrition tracking app, and then we saw like how to design such an app, like what kind of process is involved in order to design such an app. So like we started off with research, we then, we do some information architecture, like we lay out some user flows, we do some wireframes on paper, and then go to Figma, and then we enter into visual design. So at last, we also introduced you to a design tool called as Figma. So there was a quick introductory session on Figma too. So, and ultimately we designed these 2 screens, like that is a Twitter splash screen and a Twitter login and sign up screen. So these were the 2 screens that we had designed in the last session. So yeah, that was a quick recap about the first session. So first session, if you haven't seen it, we have put the recordings in the group. You will also be receiving recordings on your mail. Like moving forward, it will be only to registered people, like the recordings, like you'll be receiving it on your mail. Okay, so that being said, let's kick off with this event. Okay, so now let's say you are designing an app, okay? Now, in the visual design aspects, what are the important elements that you try to figure out? What do you think are the key important visual elements? So it might be a button, okay? Like here, there is create a new task. You might, you might add some kind of a description, like add task, like your task name, or something like an application design. And then you'll add your own icons, illustrations, pictures, and then try to make a UI or try to make a user interface out of it, right? So ultimately, all these things combined will create a beautiful looking UI like shown in this picture. So you use buttons, you use text, you use icons, illustrations, and then ultimately it will sort of combine together, and then you will be creating a visual screen like this. So however, now in order for you to design a particular screen, you need to decide, right? Like there will be a lot of options. Like you might be having a lot of options. So how do you come up with that design decision? So these design decisions are guided or driven by something called as design guidelines. So there will be sort of guidelines that will help you to decide, like your design decisions. So that will drive your design decisions. So these guidelines can be called as, fundamentals, principles, guidelines, so anything, like you can call it in any other form. So ultimately, all these guidelines, principles, and fundamentals club together, and we will call it as fundamentals of visual design. So here we are going to come to the juicy design part. Like previously you might have seen, like before coming to this step, you had to do research, information architecture, wireframe, design, information architecture, wireframe, and then everything. So coming to this, we have like here we are going to focus on visual design, like that is the real design. Okay, so what are the fundamentals? So there are 6 main fundamentals in visual design. So what are those? So some of them are balance, emphasis, hierarchy, repetition, proximity, and proportion. So these are the fundamentals of visual design. That is balance, emphasis, hierarchy, repetition, proximity, and proportion. So why are these fundamentals even important, right? Like, why do you need those kind of fundamentals? So these fundamentals or principles or whatever you call, they are used to troubleshoot your designs and often acts as like a checklist. Now let's say, like you take a UI from a government app or a website, do you feel that like that is well designed, guys? Do you feel like it is well designed, or like, do you think the government websites and apps or maybe some kind of banking applications are good, are like good looking? Do you like, what do you think about it?
They don't seem to be quite professional.
Like put it in the chat so that like it would be like interactive. Yeah, Tanisha.
They don't look like professional. They are very mixed and matched.
So like, is it good? Like, is it a good UI or a bad UI? Like, how do you
A bad UI.
differentiate between a good UI and a bad UI? So basically, you differentiate a good user interface and a bad-looking user interface using these fundamentals, basically. So that is what the gist of this session is all about. So what are these principles and how you can leverage these principles in order for you to redesign a bad-looking interface or to fix or to visually put something more pleasant. Like, okay. So as I said, these principles often act like a checklist. So before we move ahead and then look at what this checklist and principles are all about, if you have any questions, you can ask here. So if you have any questions, like, do you have any questions right now, or else it's fine, like we'll go to Figma.
I have one question. Is user interface and visual design one and the same?
Yes, like if you have any questions, you can type in, or else you can press +1 on the chat so that I can move to Figma. Okay, I hope there's no questions.
I think there was a question, Sudhanva. I think there was a question. I'm not sure from whom.
Sorry.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, it was from me, Tanisha.
Yeah, Tanisha, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, is user interface design and visual design one and the same?
Yeah, user interface design and visual design is like it's one and the same. It's just like it's like we'll call it in different ways. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
It's basically visual design of the user interface. So put it in that way.
Yeah. So like anyone has any questions? Sorry, like I kept my mic mute, so that's the reason why I couldn't hear your questions. Yeah, Prakriti. So if you have any questions? Okay, so I hope like the questions. So you can also like keep your questions at the end. So we'll have a Q&A session over there too. So now, like we'll move to Figma, and I'll show you how these principles affect your designs. So 1 second. Is a Figma screen visible, guys? If you
yes.
Okay, thank you. So this is Figma. So if you are new to Figma, or else if you haven't attended our first session, please look it up. We have put the recordings in the group. So there's a drive link where you can just watch it from there. So now coming on to the design principle that I said, that is balance, emphasis, hierarchy, repetition, proximity, and proportion. So now coming to the first principle, that is balance. So balance, as the word says, it is symmetric and asymmetric. Okay, like it is completely based on the symmetry. Now symmetry, as per definition, maybe like you have similar kind of elements on the left side of a screen, and then you have similar kind of elements on the right side of something, like an axis maybe. So this is called as balance. But in visual design, balance is not, like it is not confined towards, keeping similar items on the left of your axis and keeping similar items to the right of your axis. It's mostly about like whether the visual elements or the visual weight is being given equally or like along a particular axis. Like that is called as balance. So now to give you some examples, I've collected some screenshots over here so that I can explain you better. So this is a screenshot. This is a snapshot from Unacademy website. So as you can see, this entire design is balanced. Why? Now here I've drew some axis, like this is a y-axis. Now you can see that to the left side of this line, there is like two elements, that is daily life classes and structure courses. And then to the right side of this line, you can see that there is live tests and quizzes, and then there is unlimited access. So this is a balanced design because there is like equal number of elements on either side of the axis. Now it need not be equal number of elements always. Okay, like let me just give you some more examples. So here also, like if I draw a line in between, like if I just, let's say I'll just move this over here. So here also you can see that there are like two elements on the left side of the axis, and then there is two elements on the right side of the axis. So this design is visually balanced. Now this need not be always the case. Now here you can see that there are no like number of elements, like given over here. Like here, let me just crop this out. Okay. Now here you can see that the text, like the heavy content on the left side, is being visually balanced by the big image on the right side. The image gives the visual weight. Now balance, like all these principles and all, they're not like, let's say, like, let me just put it like, they're like, you need not take it by the actual definition. Now let's say by the actual definition of symmetry, or by the actual definition of hierarchy. These are some of the principles that look pleasant to the eye of the user. So that is why these principles are very much useful. Okay. So that is balance. Like that is a very simple concept about balance, symmetry, and asymmetric. So let me just hide the UI. So let me go to emphasis. Emphasis means giving importance or prominence. So emphasis means you are going to emphasize some amount of element to give that importance and prominence. You might have seen this in plenty of websites. Let's say this is a website snapshot. So as you can see that this is a text heavy website. Like there is like a lot of text, but the designer here has emphasized certain elements like 2011 USA, Europe, and India, startup founder, music chat app called Listen. So what this happens is, like, as a user, you might have experienced this. Like when there is a text heavy website, you will not read through every single line, right? Like you just glance through some elements. And how do you make sure that the user glances through the right elements that you want to see? You're going to use the principle of emphasis. So that is where you create that sort of a prominence, like for a particular UI element, so that catches the user attention much more than the rest of the things. So that even if you read like 2011 USA, Europe, startup founder, like you'll get an idea about who this person is. Like has worked with USA, like startup across USA, and also that is how you create that kind of an emphasis. So this is where all these principles matter a lot in your design. Now here also emphasis has been created. As you can see, there are like three like text fields. So there is email, there is password, and then there is create a free account. So there are like CTA. CTA means call to action. So these are like buttons basically. So here you can see that there are like two CTAs over here. One is create a free account is a CTA, and then terms and conditions is a CTA, and as well as login is a CTA, right? So here the designer has chosen to give more emphasis to create a free account. Because that is a primary action that the user should take, according to the designer. So this is how emphasis is being created. Like emphasis can be created in multiple ways. Here as you can see, here like the text is given a much more heavier weight here, like this USA, Europe, and India, and then here is also given some alternative color. Here, if you see, the emphasis has been given by making it like a button, like look like a button, like create a free account. So that is how you give that emphasis. Emphasis also works in something called as popovers. Now you might have seen popovers, like that pop-up elements. Like you might have just browsed through, let's say, a e-commerce website, and then something new pops up, right? Something new pops up, and that takes your attention. Now, how does it take your attention? By popping up, and then by reducing the opacity of the background of that pop-up. So this will give much more emphasis to the pop-up, right? That is how pop-up uses emphasis principle in order for you to give that importance for the user. This is how emphasis works. Now, emphasis also works for CTA, as I've said, like in CTA or call to action or like those buttons, there are like three types of buttons. One is primary, secondary, and tertiary. So primary buttons are the most important actions you're going to give it the emphasis of a primary. Secondary, not so important, and tertiary, which users can skip. So these these kind of CTAs are being differentiated based on the emphasis action. That is primary, secondary, and tertiary. So now coming to hierarchy. Hierarchy is the order of UI elements. Now you might have heard about the term hierarchy, right? Like hierarchy, like based on hierarchy, your father is more prominent than your mother, and then you. So this, like the order of UI elements, like in the similar fashion, here the UI elements is also going to get that prominence using the principle of hierarchy. Now, if you have now at least in the English language, you read from left to right and top to bottom, right? Yeah. So now that means the most prominent items are being placed on the left side of the screen and the top side of the screen, and then it decreases. It decreases as you move from left to right and top to bottom. So that is how order of UI elements also plays a massive importance in order for the hierarchy to work. Now, hierarchy in text particular will work like this also. Like you might have, like if you are, let's say a CS student, you might be knowing about H1, H2, like all these heading tags, right? So as per CSS or like as per design, H1 tags are given the most prominent importance, and then H6, the least prominent like UI elements will be written in H6, that is heading 6. So that is also like a similar principle of hierarchy. Now here, if you can see this login screen, the most prominent importance has been given to the illustration, and then the text here, that is simple abroad calls or no hidden charges. And then based on that, this sort of like a small text here is given less importance by, like there are like multiple methods you can give less important, like using emphasis and hierarchy. You can play around with all those principles in order for you to provide importance to one particular element and then to remove importance to other, like others. So this is how principles are very much useful like in design. So here, this is a very good example for explaining all the three principles that I have talked about, that is balance, emphasis, and hierarchy. Now, if you talk about balance, if you see this navigation bar, you can see that if I draw an axis over here, like let's say a y-axis, so here you can see that there are like 4 elements on the left side of the axis, and then there are 4 elements on the right side of the axis. There is gallery, artist, jobs, and blog on one side, pricing, FAQ, tools, and login on one side. So this looks balanced. Now this also looks balanced because there is a huge image, which is visually balanced to the amount of text and CTA that is on other side of the axis. So this is also called as balance. Now how does emphasis work here? Now the emphasis works here because the art of hiring is given much more prominence, right? That like this is where, like this is the UI element which captures the user attention more rather than all the text and all the CTA buttons. So this is how emphasis is being created. Hierarchy, like emphasis also works in the CTA also. Like here you can see higher artist is being given more prominence rather than how it works. So this is emphasis working here. So hierarchy wherein the hero title is being given more importance, then the subheading, then the CTA. So I hope like all the principles, like the recap of all the principles, like you got it. So now coming to repetition or pattern. So repetition is the most used principle. You might have seen your like I hope you use WhatsApp, right? Like you're on our WhatsApp group also. So WhatsApp uses something called as repetition principle in order for helping users to scan through different type of elements. Now, how does this work? Now, here is a snapshot of WhatsApp. Here you can see the list items are being repeated, right? Why? Why is that? That is because when you're scanning through, when you're browsing, like immediately, right? You can either detect someone's profile. Now, let's say that you want to DM Alberto, rather than like searching for each and every element. Since the item has been repeated, your eye can train itself, like to look only for the like let's say the profile name. Now I'll look at only this basic ploy loss, and then I'll go to Alberto because that is easier. That is easier to scan. Now, like rather than looking at other UI elements. So this is how repetition works in your favor. Now, repetition is also a famous principle that is used by a lot of let's say food tech companies. So here, now there are like multiple options of like food available on the let's say food tech company like Swiggy and Zomato. So if you're looking for something cheap, or if you're looking for something which has a higher user rating, you're going to keep your eye fixed over only these elements, right? Yes. Or else if you if you want to like let's say buy a cheaper option, like you are going to fix your eye only over this rupees, like let's say 1,200, 1,900. So this is how repetition helps you to quickly scan through a lot of elements, a lot of items. This especially works in list items. So this is how using like the principle of repetition, you can easily scan through a lot of things. So because there is some kind of a pattern that is being created for your brain to quickly, like understand and then quickly to find it out. So this is how like repetition plays. This also like works in text-heavy website. Like this is a website of Shopify. So here there is a pattern, right? Here there is a Z pattern. Like there is text on one side, image on other side, image on one side, text on other side, text on one side, and image on other side. So what happens is you automatically, 1 second. you automatically read creating a community and impact, and then you shift your eyes towards this, and you shift your eyes towards this. Like this happens automatically because of the principle of repetition. So now let me go to proximity. Proximity or white spacing. So proximity or white spacing is nothing but wherein you give some kind of a breathing space for your apps or websites. So how you are going to give your breathing space? Like as humans, we need oxygen, right? We need oxygen to survive. We need oxygen to feel comfortable. So in a similar fashion, for the UI elements, they need white space, or they need some kind of a space between the elements in order for them to feel comfortable, and that is very pleasant to the eye. Like when you look at a user interface with a lot of white spacing, it looks pleasant to the eye. So that is why white space, even though it's not visible, it's a very, very important UI element, white space. So here white space also creates some grouping, right? Now let's say that like award winning support, get help and contact support, like they look a lot more closer to each other than it is to career options. Like now let's say that award winning, now let's look at here like at this example. Award winning support is closer to get the help you want with 24/7 support rather than it is to career opportunities. So this means that this is a group, even though there is no boundary or there is no box, white space provides that kind of a grouping mechanism, right? It helps you to visually understand, okay, like this is a group, this is a group, this is a group, rather than you creating those boxes and those boundaries. So this is how white space also works in UI design. So now, as you can see, here there is an example. So as you can see, the spacing between, let's say the blog from the podcast title is very less rather than like this, like rather than this spacing. So this is how you can just differentiate between different group elements rather than creating a boundary, as I said. So white space is also very important. If you see here, like this looks very cramped, right? They need some kind of a breathing space, like the sections needs a breathing space. So like this is an example between not a white space and with white space. So yeah. Now the last principle is called as proportion. Proportion is a very, very important principle. So proportion means you are giving importance to a particular UI element based on a certain comparison. Comparison might be in terms of weight of the font, color, or else in the size of the font, or else in the size of the element. So YouTube uses proportion. How? Now this is a video player. Like there is, like I'm playing video in this section that now the video is about Rasputin. So as a user, my eye goes to that particular UI element because the size of the UI element is much larger than all the smaller, like video clips. So that is how proportion works in favor. Now this is a snapshot from Trivia HQ. This is a quiz game app. So here, for this particular question, you can see that Germany is the right answer, even though you need not even read that 31,060. I don't know what is it, like 31,000, like something. So even though, like rather than reading this particular number, I can know that Germany is the right answer because I can see that there is some kind of a rectangle, like there is a green rectangle which is given of higher proportion, right? So this is how proportion really works in the favor. Say that, like that is why all these principles are really, really important. Like if we want to create a good looking user interface. So that being said, let me now I didn't even talk about or like mention about design principles being some kind of a checklist, right? They are like a checklist for you to design or for you to redesign a particular screen. Now I did give an example of government websites and apps which have a particularly bad UI, right? So how do you redesign using these principles? I'm going to share an example right away. So let me bring back all the UI. So over here. Okay, let me just copy this so that copy it to the file that I was using previously. So I'll be sharing the same file with you so that you can, like post the session, you can browse it. I hope this Figma file is visible, right? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, like this is a, let me just change the background color so that it looks, there's a lot more differentiation between, okay. So now this is a UI element of an e-commerce website. Now let's say that there is a e-commerce website called as AthrV-Cart or whatever. So who sells laptops. So this is a UI element wherein for a particular laptop, you can there are three options. One is light, standard, and then professional. So there are three options. I'm also going to import that. I guess it's locked. It's fine. So there are three laptop options, that is light, standard, and professional. Light for internet browsing and email writing, standard for image resizing and exporting PDFs, and professional for high intensive tasks, that is high performance tasks. So what are the problems that you what are the problems that appear when you look at a UI element which is not that great in UI design? So what do you think are the UI principle that has been missing?
All the text have same line, same weight.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are unable to focus on hierarchy.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Good. Great.
Even the buttons have same, they are basically too much into the eyes, red and blue contrast. So we
Yeah,
are unable to focus on one thing.
exactly. Correct. So, Tanisha, that's great. You have mentioned most of the things. One second, guys. I'll just bring my mouse. There's some problem with my mouse. 1 second. Yes, sorry for the interruption. Audible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, as you were saying, that's right. So, the first one is about hierarchy, right? Hierarchy. So, that means that the text is slightly, there is no importance that has been given to any of the fonts. There are in the same weight. So, that is hierarchy. And the second thing is, as you said, there is a contrast issue with the buttons. So there is contrast, right? And then there is emphasis issue too. There is not given more emphasis for a particular UI, in this case, for a particular laptop name, that is light, standard, or professional. There is no emphasis that has been given. And fourth thing is that it is too tightly packed, it is too jam packed, I would say. So there is white spacing issue. So these are some of the problems that I see with this redesign as of now. So if I find anything other than that, I'll just add it later. So let's change it to, yeah. So now, yes, I'm sorry. Sorry. There was a internet flash. 1 second. So is it visible, guys?
Your voice is cracking a lot.
Okay. Is it now audible?
Oh yeah.
Audible?
Yeah, better. Yes, better.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so as I've been saying, so there are four problems in this design, that is hierarchy, contrast, emphasis, and spacing. So now, in order for me to redesign this, I've created a frame over here. Okay, so I'll just copy. Now let's say choose your category, and I'll just drop it in over here. And I'll just bring it up front so that. Okay, so here is a copied art. This one, I'm just going to rename it as, let's say, good design, good and bad, good design. Okay. So here, the first thing is, I do not particularly like this font, Roboto. I'm going to change this to, let's say, a good looking font. I pick Lexent. So Lexent is a very popular font. It's a free font too, you can use for your applications. So I'm going to choose Lexent over here. So, and then I don't want it to be pure black. I'll just hey guys, I'm extremely sorry for that. Yeah, there's some lag that's happening. Like it's raining over here, so that's why the internet is quite unstable. I hope now it is audible. Am I clear? Proper? It's audible? Yeah? Can you?
Sudhanva, the voice is breaking. Maybe you can switch off your video, Sudhanva, and present. I think that would be better.
Yeah. Is my voice audible? Audio? Is it?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah. So here I've chosen a font that is Lexent. So this is a free font which you can obviously get it through Google Fonts. So I'm going to change it to, let's say, semi-bold over here because bold looks a lot bolder.
You'll have to present the screen, Sudhanva, I guess.
Screen isn't present.
I don't know. I'm not able to see it. I don't know if it's just me. Yeah.
Is it visible right now?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, guys. So yeah, like here I've chosen a font that is Lexent and I've kept it semi-bold and some darker shade I would use, let's say. Okay, so now how to pick colors, that is going to be the next session. How you are going to pick colors and what is the theory behind picking colors for your UI design. So that is going to be a teaser for next session. So yeah, so here I've chosen a random color. Like this is not how picking UI colors work. That's a different story altogether. But for this video, I'm just going to pick a random color over here. And I'm going to give it a much higher size because I want it to be of much higher importance. Like I want to give much more emphasis to that. So let me give it, let's say some 18. Okay. So now I'm also going to copy this light internet browsing into the. Okay. So here, as you can see here, it's a radio button. It's a radio button means where you can single select one particular option and then you can click on proceed or next. I'm also going to group this both. Okay. I'm going to group this. So here, as you can see, I'm just going to group it out. Okay, so now here I want more emphasis for the name of the laptop kind, that is light, right? So that is the main intention of this UI element. That is, you want the user either to choose between light, standard, or professional. So now how to do that? You can, like, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it into 2 lines, and then I'm going to select the other text element over here, that is for internet browsing and email writing, and then I'm going to dip the color of it. Okay, so this will give you some amount of emphasis to the text called as light. You can still further do it. How? Now let me just change the entire font to Lexent as I did earlier. Lexent. Okay, and then let me select for internet browsing and email writing, and then I'm going to decrease the font size from bold to medium. Okay, now you can see that light is being given more importance, right? So now here you can go still further by increasing the font size, or by decreasing this font size from 16 to, let's say, 14 maybe. So now this looks much better, right? You can also go with 15 if you want. Now this looks much better, right? So here you can, like give some spacing between, let's say it's 140, I'll give it 150. So it looks much better over here. So let me just, okay. So like this is the first option. I think spacing is much, okay. This is the first option, that is light internet browsing. So I'm going to duplicate the entire thing. Let's say I duplicate this entire group for the other 3 things. Now, all these options were pretty cramped, like all these radio options were pretty cramped. Yes. So here I'm going to give much more breathing space for these elements. So the spacing between choosing your category and to the element, like ideally you would keep it in terms of a particular number, let's say 4 or 5. So here I'm going to keep it in 4. So I'm going to keep it 24 over here, and then spacing between this and this, let's say it is 12 maybe. 12 looks pretty cramped. I would give 16. And then I'm going to change this one to standard. standard, and then for image resizing, etc. So all this text I'm going to give it over here. Okay, I'm going to give the same treatment as I did for this. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to just select this text, change it from 16 to 15, and then maybe decrease the opacity of it, or maybe reduce the brightness of this color. And then from this entire thing, from Roboto to Lexend, I'll do Lexend. This. Yeah, guys, I'm extremely sorry for that. Extremely sorry for that. Yeah. And I'm going to increase the text over like this, so that okay. So I can also do the same kind of a treatment for the professional one.
Sudhanva, present the screen, please. Sudhanva,
Yeah.
you need to present the screen.
Visible? Visible? I hope
Not yet.
Okay. Visible. Visible, guys? It's not.
Yes, it's about sharing now.
Okay.
No, I think it's going back again. Is it visible for others or is it just for me? I have no idea.
Can anyone
I think it's you're not at sharing. Can you just check once?
Yeah, it's sharing. It's like it's coming here. Participants can see the presentation for me.
Maybe others can give a confirmation. Guys, are you able to see Sudhanva's screen?
No.
Not visible.
Okay. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the
Right.
glitch. Sorry for that. Like it's raining here, so I think that's the reason why it's getting glitched for so many times. I'm sorry. Like we'll better prepare for next time. Okay. So yeah, like this is what I did over here. I created, as I said, I created like 2 or 3 options. As I said, like as Tanisha said earlier, there was a problem with hierarchy, contrast, emphasis, like as well as spacing. So here I tried to solve the entire UI based on the principle over here. So how did I solve? So basically, I've given more emphasis to light, standard, and professional. Okay, by giving it a much more emphasis by increasing the font weight and the font color. Okay, and I've de-emphasized the other texts over here. That is for image resizing, for high performance intensive tasks. So this is how you can redesign a particular UI using all those principles that I shared with you earlier. That is balance, emphasis, hierarchy, proximity, and proportion. Here you can also change the button. So I hope I hope you get the point, right? Like you get the point about the like redesign using the like user interfaces, using the design principles. Sorry. So this is how you can make use of all these principles in order for you to redesign the screen. So I'm going to share this file with you so that you can just I'll just share the file with you so that you can just look around for that, and then play around with the file, and then you can understand it better. Okay, like I've shared the file in the chat. So yeah, that was the main agenda of the meeting today. That was the entire gist of whatever I had to say. So I hope like you have understood everything. Sorry for the technical glitches, but yeah, like that was the end of the session. So if you have any questions, you can ask. And yeah, it's up for Q&A, guys.
I don't have a question. Like, it was a very great session, so obviously I didn't have any question. But I wanted to ask about Figma. So, like,
Yeah.
recently I heard that Figma is going to be taken over by Adobe, and I
Yeah.
haven't yet downloaded Figma. So, will it be free still, or you have any idea about it right now?
Yeah, like it's a pretty recent news. I hope most of you guys know about this acquisition that has happened between Figma and Adobe. Like as per official sources, as per what the CEO has said post the like the acquisition, they have promised that they are going to keep the autonomy of Figma, even though Adobe has been acquired by Figma. Now, pricing plan, it's going to be free, at least for now. Like you can just tinkering, like you can just start tinkering with it right away. It is free for now. I hope so. It will be free forever. Okay. But yeah, like as
Yeah.
yeah, like as you use Adobe products, like you use cracked versions. So like that might
Yeah.
happen in future, but like for now, you can use Figma as it is. Like it's a browsing tool and it's free to use.
So, guys, Figma is basically a freemium tool. Freemium as in some you can use it for some part freely, and then after a certain limit, it starts. You have to upgrade yourself to the the paid version. So obviously, if you guys are students, there's a student plan. You just guys need to put your ID proofs or something like that, or just I think that also is not there. You just try to mention your university and which college you belong to, and you will get it for free. So
Yeah,
Figma
you'll get it
certification
for
is
free for
absolutely
2 years.
for free.
Yeah.
And for others, you can start using it. I think you can have a few projects for free initially, and as it grow, as you want to do much more work, definitely if you really want to and you feel like you need to invest, you can invest on the tool itself. Yeah.
Yeah, pricing plan is actually a lot affordable than what Adobe Suite offers. So yeah, like it is freemium model as Gautam said, but like I do feel that like for initial sort of things, like let's say if you are trying to playing it around like with UI UX design, I think free plan is more than enough. So you can use the free plan, and then once you feel like you have hit the limit, then you can start paying for Figma. So yeah, any other question, guys? So how was the session? Yeah, like apart from technical glitches, like it was only for the last section, I feel, like the technical glitches. So apart from it, if you have any other feedback or if you have any questions, we are here to answer that. And yeah, like all the best for your exams, and thanks for joining in spite of you like you having exams on Monday. Great enthusiasm. Keep it up. Gautam, you're on mute.
Yeah, if anyone wants to just hang out and have a chat after this, no, I would really love to stay back and have a chat with all of you guys. So yeah, maybe so then we can call it a day for the workshop per se, but I really want to have a quick chat with all the participants and get to know where they are and what they are learning from this. Yes, thank you guys.
And yeah,
Also, I wanted to ask, how many series is this for UI UX? How many episodes we have still? Like,
there is
sorry,
no
episodes. uh,
like as we like there is no exact number of sessions because it depends on the kind of participation that we get and then the kind of content.
okay.
Yeah, like there is no exact number, but I will promise you this that you're going to learn a lot over here. Like you are going to learn a lot rather than paid courses. So you're going to get enough amount of
Yeah.
knowledge that will help you to kickstart your career in design. So yeah, this is what I can promise from
Thank
my
you so
side.
much.
So
Yeah.
on and all, I feel I guess Sudhanva, I think we might have mostly to cover. We might have some 6, 7 sessions in total, but we might add more. No, to add like give some additional information and add more sessions on just to give that knowledge.
Yeah, and then it's like it's all based on your
totally
kind of
never
participation,
ending.
guys. It's all based on your participation and the amount of enthusiasm that you keep up in the group. So if you really want it, we will do it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Sudhana, maybe you can stop the recording for now and stop presenting.